Hello, welcome to this audio this audio live review of Rolling Rock Extra Pale Lager. Sorry, but the camera on this laptop does not work. The laptop itself works pretty well considering the age of it, and don't use it very often, so I have not bought a new one. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars for a new one that I'm going to use 14 days a year or whatever. Typically I don't use it much. To take it on a road trip, and I only use it to watch like baseball highlights and check on Facebook and YouTube, stuff like that. So I don't have a lot of usage for this, any kind of heavy duty usage for it. But the camera never did work on this thing. I don't know why. When you check the computer, it says the camera is working, but it isn't, as you can tell. Anyway, I'll try to give a descriptive rundown of the product. A lot of people just listen to these anyway. I do the same thing, honestly, when I quote unquote watch a beer review. I'm typically just listening to it while I fiddle around with other things because I know what the people look like. I don't have to sit there and stare at them. And generally, I know what the beers look like that they're reviewing because I only watch reviews for beers I've already had. So I'll say, oh yeah, I know it's red or whatnot. Hey, the aviation, good morning to you. Okay, so anyway, Rolling Rock comes in two bottle sizes, 7-ounce pony and what I have, the 12-ounce, which I bought in a 12-pack at Wrigley for $9.99. It's embossed. It has horse heads, 1, 2, 3, 4, around the shoulder of the bottle. No longer has the painted label or the lattice work, but it has a stick-on label, white with blue writing, and then it's got a badge, says premium beer, a blue badge, looks like a coin with white writing in the horse head, extra pale. Established 1939 by Latrobe Brewing Company and was sold to Anheuser-Busch in 2006. I first tried it in 1997. Back in 97, 8, 9, those years, people treated it as a specialty beer and above premiums, or in Louisiana at least. It was viewed as sort of a craft type beer. And, if you might remember, they used to have a Red Rock. It was called Red Rock. And then when Anheuser-Busch purchased the company, it was renamed Rolling Rock Amber Lager, which I still have a bottle for that. Very nice product, but it was hard to find, and it was discontinued, I'm afraid. Anyway, the back of the bottle talks about, to honor the tradition of this great brand, we quote from the original pledge of quality from the glass-lined tanks of old Latrobe. But it's no longer made in Latrobe because that brewery was sold to City Brewing. That's contract brewing. We tender this premium beer for your enjoyment as a tribute to your good taste. It comes from the mountain springs to you, and then it has 33 in quotes. People have been trying to figure out what the 33 stands for. They say there's 33 words in the description, the pledge. Feels like I'm listening to an old radio show, and it's kind of fun. Oh, thank you. I'm glad, because I thought people would hate it. A bucket of rocks is a classic summer drink. Okay, so now I have a glass it's about a pint glass. It's wide mouth, so the top of the glass is wide, and then it's tapered down to a narrow bottom. So having a wide mouth gives this beer a chance to breathe. Had a pretty thick white head, but fizz right away. Now you just have a thin white foam. The lacing is going to be minimal. And of course, this beer is very pale, like it says, extra pale. It's very pale straw. Does not look really like a light beer, like a Busch Light or a old or a Miller High Life Light, which I saw some Miller High Life Light yesterday. It's being discontinued, but it's still around. Saw some come in fresh too. It's a different type of pale straw, but I don't know. Hard to describe. Just think of pale yellow, ecro almost, like a paint color. Anyway, straw. You see straw. Aroma. Okay, I put a link below. Aroma is very faint white bread or cereal grains, light cereal grains. This uses water, barley malt, corn, and rice. Not corn syrup, corn and, which would be corn grits and rice. So multigrain, 3 grains, barley, rice, and corn. Aren't we taught to eat multigrains? So think of it as a liquid multigrain bar. Hops also are added very lightly. Added 130 calories, 4.4% alcohol. It's very close to being a light beer. Jordy, yeah, I talked about that early in the video, the audio. The camera on this computer does not work. I am not at home. I cannot use the good computer camera because I have no electricity at this time. So this is all you get. Sorry. Going to Wrigley Field for the first time today. What's your opinion of the stadium? Does it deserve the hype? Talk about that in a minute. All right. Has a watery flavor. Very faint uh, grain or bread, white bread. Very faint. That slightly sour lager beer flavor. Not like a sour beer as people call those, which are usually more tart than sour. But you know, lager beers just have to me, a sour taste. Bitterness, forget it. No bitterness. Only to balance it out. You never detect the IBUs, which must be very low. Light bodied, 130 calories, remember, light body, light to medium body, let's say light to medium, and a crisp finish. Yeah, 33. I don't know what it stands for. Maybe the guy was a Scottish Rite Freemason. He had been given the 33 degree, honorary degree. He might have been a past master. I don't know. Maybe he knew Dave Thomas. This, I don't know. The guy that started Wendy's, you know, they keep their hamburgers on the square. Get it? You know what I mean? The hamburgers are on the level. All right, anyway. Good morning, sir, and everyone else. Thank you, Anonymous Coward. Thank you, Jordy. Bitter beer face. Yep, that was for Keystone Light. Hey, Bart. You would never get a bitter beer face from this beer because there is no bitterness. Now, you might get a bland beer face. It's kind of dull. But it's refreshing and easy going, and I drank one last night. I was looking for Ice House, but then they were sold out. So I said, because since the hurricane, the stocks have been low, low, low. So I said, well, I'll just get, and I wasted time going to Rouse's. There was no kind of good variety over there. So I said, I did find some new Modelo beer, though, in a 24-ounce can. It's called Modelo Piña. Piña. Pineapple and chili pepper beer. How do you like that? I got it in the fridge. I plan on trying it soon, hopefully. Keystone Light. That's right. Bitter beer face. You won't get it with Keystone Light either. Okay, so this beer used to have a weird chalky undertaste back from 97 to 2006 when I drank it. So I rarely drank it. I only bought it to collect the cans and bottles because they kept changing the label over the years. Latrobe. I even got a stubby neck bottle with a paper label, not painted on paper label, from like 1997. True story. I still have it. Can't show it to you right now. I've showed it in previous hangouts. But I always thought the Latrobe produced Rolling Rock had a strange chalky undertaste or under mouthfeel, like a mouthfeel, or even like a taste. I didn't like it. I used to always say, what is this weird aspect for this beer? Now, once Anheuser-Busch bought it and started producing it in their own breweries, that went away. Never tasted it or felt it again. Never had that sensation again. So in my opinion, they improved it. Other people will say, no, you're wrong. After the buyout, the beer was ruined. They ruined it. But maybe that chalkiness was what appealed to the people. I didn't like it. The Rock Red became Rolling Rock Red Amber Lager. It was the same. It was good. But they never promoted that one, so they let it die. Too bad. A friend of mine said he loved it. So I would score this beer. hmm, There is the slightest, little, tiny, itsy bitsy, teeny weeny touch of hop bitterness, but it's so minimal. You have to really search for it. Okay, off flavors, off aromas. No, there aren't any. There are not any. It's nearly a light beer, but not quite. Because light beer would be 110 calories or less, in my opinion. Even 110 is pushing it. Miller, one of those Miller beers, 110. But if you just want something that's basic and inoffensive, this is going to work. $9.99 a 12 pack, yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem these days. Um, I'd recommend it. Now, if you're looking for something really exciting with just fantastic, bold flavor, bold body, bold finish, hop, action, no, Rolling Rock's not going to work. But if you're a light beer drinker and that's all you drink is light beer and you don't want to drink any full body beer because you think it's going to be too strong, this could be a good starting point because it won't be too strong. So this beer would be excellent as a transition from light to regular premium beer. You know what I'm saying? Because to go from Busch Light to Budweiser, that throws people off. They say, oh, it's too bitter. They say Budweiser's too strong and heavy and this would be a good transition, I guess, if you're one of the people that need to transition. I never needed to do that. I'm not saying that's better or worse. It's just a different way. People have different ways. When I started drinking beer in February '96, I just started drinking everything I could find, craft beer or regular beer. So there was no transition for me. So people ask me, what got you into craft beer? I say the fact that it was on the shelf and I wanted to try it, but I just looked at it as another beer to get. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at it like this versus that, like it was some kind of war or social struggle. I just drank them as consumer products, and that was a lot better way to approach it. I thought instead of, and then later on, I got involved in social media, and people were talking about the craft beer movement. Like we're winning, we are winning. Someone said, I'm not going to name him. I could. I said, what are you winning? You're not. You don't own a brewery. You don't own a craft brewery. So I said, I'm not part of that movement. But anyway, some people are like loyal to certain brands or product styles as though it's like a moral question, a question of morality. And for me, it's a question of trying different beers with no moral implications involved with it. You know what I'm saying? All right. So anyway, it's fine. I'll score it. I've had some craft beers that I paid twice as much for that had just as much flavor as this, or I should say, as little flavor as this, and I was not happy. I paid for one 3 weeks ago that was 3 times the price. Had less flavor than this. I was very unhappy with that Baton Rouge, Louisiana produced product. I'll give this a B plus, 88 out of 100, 8.8 out of 10, 88 out of 100. It's a very good beer, but keep in mind it is produced to be very pale and very, let's use the word, demure. Okay. Now, Wrigley Field. Yeah, it's budget price in Louisiana. Okay, $9.99 to $10.99 a 12 pack usually. Draft. I've never had the draft Rolling Rock or draft. I did have draft Pabst Blue Ribbon, however, in New Orleans, in Baton Rouge, and in Denver, Colorado. I got Imperial pints. It's like 22 ounces of Pabst Blue Ribbon draft at a looked like a hobo bar to me. Someone told me, bums live on the street, hobos ride trains. I said, okay. Well, whatever the case, it was kind of a questionable place, I guess. But it was a bar, and they had, it's like a regular bar. It's just not far from the Greyhound bus station, and they were $1, 19.99, $1 for these huge draft Pabst Blue Ribbon, and it was really good. I drank two, and then I went to the bus and was sleeping. Okay, when we headed north to Utah, I had bought a Discovery Pass. It was unlimited travel for 10 days, $24 a day. That was in 1999. So I hopped on the bus and went all the way to Spokane, Washington, and came back, made a circle. Pretty interesting. For $24 a day for 10 days to go all the way to Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas. It was worth it. You could stand being on the bus. It was worth it. It's too high, 13 for a 12 pack. Okay, Wrigley Field, named after the Wrigley Gum Company, because the Wrigley Gum Company people used to own the Cubs until 1981. They kept the name. I know this much. If I was the owner, I wouldn't keep the name unless Wrigley Gum paid me for the naming rights, but whatever. Um, I first went there in 2002. It had been renovated, so it was nice, and it's been updated since. Some good things about that and some bad things about that. Some of the upgrades I like, some of the upgrades I don't like. It's still an old stadium built in 1914, but the Cubs didn't start playing there until 1916 because it was built for another team in a league that didn't last, the Federal League. They tried to make a third major league and it flopped. And there was a team called the Chicago Whales that played there in 14 and 15. Then they went, so the Cubs took it over. And then the Chicago Bears pro football team played there until 1970. In 1971, they went to the big Soldier Field. Well, I liked it. It's old. The seating is strange. Like you might be sitting in a seat, and if you look straight ahead, you only see a corner of the field. You got to turn your head the whole time. But most of it's positioned where you're looking at the field. It's cramped. If you sit in the upper deck, you can see everything fine. And the upper deck is not that high. If you sit in the lower deck, underneath the upper deck, you're so far back, you can only see the field, but if the ball gets hit up, you can't see it. You see the ball get popped up in the air. You got to wait till it comes down. So you're obscured. And you'll be in the shade, though. But, of course, in Chicago, being in the shade is usually a detriment because it's normally cold. We went to a game on May 31st, 2007, and it was so chilly. In Louisiana, you'd have been having a heat stroke, but there it was 70 degrees high. The high was cold. We felt cold. I've been to probably 8 or 9 games there between 2002 and 2013. I always liked it. It's a classic stadium. I mean, the bathrooms are like a horse trough. You got to walk some. They're not in a convenient location. They're like really inadequate, really. I guess you could say. When you walk into the first level concourse, it's like you're in a basement with pipes everywhere, and it's definitely not modern by any standard of 1991 to the present. Remember, 1991 they started the super modern stadiums with the new Comiskey Park, and then in '92 Orioles Park at Camden Yards, in '94 the ballpark at Arlington, which they quickly abandoned after only 25 years. Very bad use of tax money. So if you take Wrigley Field, okay, let's say Wrigley, and you compare it to the new Comiskey Park opened in 1991, which now it's got a corporate name, I can't remember, U.S. I don't know, Bank Rate Field or some insurance company, whatever it is. It can't compare. It's so inferior in a sense of amenities and modern, comfortable seating and all of that. Okay, but it's got more character. It's just old and it's a famous stadium. It's been around since 1914, so it's famous, and so you get the history with it. Like Fenway Park. Fenway Park is even less adequate. And when we went in 2003, there it was like a dump. It was like not like a dump. I shouldn't say that. It was not well maintained. Then they did renovate it heavily since '03. When I went back in 2013, it was much nicer. But still, there's only so much you can do. Old wooden seats and cramped and bad sight lines and stuff. But still great. I mean, I would go to Fenway Park all the time if I lived up there. And I'm not real picky about comfort, creature comforts and all that. So it'll be fine for me. But I'm just saying, if you go to Chicago, you should go to both. Go to Wrigley Field, watch the Cubs, cross the street from McDonald's. Go to McDonald's, use a coupon, whatever. And it's going to be fun. I wouldn't sit in the bleacher section. You got a lot of hooligans sit out there, like frat boy type, like obnoxious, boorish people, kind of like Yankee Stadium outfield. I would not go out there. They're not there to watch a game. They're there to act out and exemplify their idiocy, really. Uh, Half the people at the stadium are going to be tourists anyway that have no real interest in the game. It's like Yankee Stadium. If you go to a Yankees game, half the people at any time are tourists. They're just there so they can say they went to Yankee Stadium. So the interest in the game might be marginal. Um, Whereas if you go to the Mets Stadium, Citi Field, it's almost 100% fans because tourists just do not go to Queens. Okay, so tourists that go to New York City don't say, "Oh, well, how about we go to a neighborhood and look around and look at certain strip malls and churches and grocery stores and pharmacies, really experience the life of New York City." They don't do that. They want to go to all the tourist traps. So if you go to the Mets game, it's more fans that are more into the game. Same thing in Chicago. You go to White Sox Stadium, which is what, 10 miles south, 8 miles south, almost directly south. I've been to about 14 games there, 12 to 14 games. I want to go back. Uh, It'll be 99% fans, 1% tourists. Because tourists don't say, "Oh, let's go check out this 30-year-old stadium with its 30-year history." No, no, no. They want to go check out Wrigley Field with its 117-year history. The old Comiskey Park, yeah, that might have attracted fans. Built in 1910, torn down in 1991. But it was falling apart. Had to be torn down. Was not well maintained. Was beyond rescue, I guess. But anyway, I didn't go to a game there. Big mistake. Should have gone in 1990. I had a chance too. Wasn't thinking along those lines. Um, But if you go to a White Sox game, you're gonna have a smaller crowd, but all the people there will be watching the game and into the White Sox because the other half aren't there. They're the tourists that are at Wrigley Field. So that's definitely worth going to. They have the exploding scoreboard, which Bill Veeck started in 1960. They carried it over to the new stadium. Fireworks going off, pinwheels spinning and all. Not real pinwheels, but lit up. So I would say it's a not not to miss experience. Plus, seems like there's some good food around there. Like there's some little restaurants just north of the White Sox Stadium. There's a public park with a public swimming pool, inside pool, and then right there it's a little Italy, and they have Italian restaurants and bars, and it's really nice. And then north of that is a Croatian neighborhood with a Croatian Catholic church, true story. And north of that is a Chinatown. So I've always parked north of Chinatown in that field, grass. I'll walk through Chinatown, go eat at one of the good places, then just walk down the main street through the neighborhoods, and then go to White Sox Stadium. It's fun. I wouldn't walk on the east side of that interstate. Oh boy. Anyway, let's look at the comments. So yeah, go to Wrigley Field. It's gonna be great. You're gonna have a great time. I've been to every major league ballpark, so I can comment on all of them. I've been to games at every major league ballpark. True story. Sounds like a lie, doesn't it? It's not a lie. It's the truth. It's the truth. Hey, next time I'm out, I'm going to get a 24-ounce Rolling Rock can. I saw it the other day, but I decided to get Mexican beers instead. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like you're going to not be able to find Rolling Rock. I'm sitting down the third base line in foul territory, kind of by the foul pole. Yeah. That's where Bartman was sitting, right, when the infamous 2003 incident occurred. Wasn't his fault anyway. It's crazy. Babe Ruth and so many other players played there. That's right. My grandfather went to Wrigley Field. He died 5 years ago, but he was telling me, he said, yeah, we went to Wrigley Field one time. I said, you did? He said, yeah, I was 12 years old in 1932. And my father had to go to this doctor's conference in Chicago to get a certificate for like continuing learning units. And my grandfather was a doctor also. So he said, you want to take the train to Chicago? And of course, my grandfather said, yeah. So they were up there and they went to a game at Wrigley Field in 1932. He said they were playing the Cardinals. I said, what'd you think about that? He said, oh, it was really nice. It was really nice. That's what he said. It was really nice. So he got to go there. '70 years before I did. That was his opinion. It was really nice. It was a new stadium then, right? 1932. Did you ever go to Tiger Stadium? I passed in front of it, but it was already closed by the time I went over there. I got to see it, but then they tore it down. Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, I didn't make it. Could have made it. I wasn't thinking about that at the time, though. What made me a White Sox fan? WGN. 1981, we got cable television. WGN showing the White Sox with Harry Carey. People are going to say, no, you're wrong. It's the Cubs. No, 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 no. 1981, Harry Carey was a White Sox play-by-play announcer on television. That's a fact. I had a guy at a bar in New Orleans get angry with me one time, tell me I was wrong. A lawyer. I was supposed to be in somebody told me he's a lawyer. I said, okay, he's still wrong, and I've got money to back. I got money to back up what I'm saying. He got angry, like, I know all about Harry Carey. I said, not all about him. You think you know about him. I was like, Harry Carey was a White Sox announcer on television from 1971 to 1981. Okay? 11 seasons. Then he went to the Cubs in 82 till he died. He did the Oakland Athletics in 1970. He was at the Cardinals before that, from the late 40s to 1969. I said, if I'm wrong, you're going to get paid money. I said, but no, you won't get paid any money because I know what I'm talking about. I never make a bet unless I know I'm going to win. Okay. But yeah, so WGN showed the White Sox and the Cubs. And I would get home from school and I would watch usually the Cubs be on in the afternoon. Sometimes I have afternoon White Sox games. And I just started watching them. And I used to lay in bed at night and watch the White Sox usually be on at night, and the Cubs would be on during the afternoon. I would do stuff during the afternoon. I mean, I would watch the Cubs, but I would do other things. So I would lay down and I watch the White Sox. So I started watching both teams. I just preferred the White Sox, but I like both teams. And if it wouldn't have been for cable TV and all, I just never would have got interested in those teams. But I did. The Braves were on TBS. I used to watch them. I wasn't a fan. I would just watch them because it was on. I would just watch it. Just lay there and look at it. And they would have the Hawks, and I would watch that. WGN would have the Bucks. I would watch that. Not the Bucks. They would always play the Bucks. I'm talking about the Bulls. The Bulls. We would say WGN, the Bulls at the Bucks, and I watch it. In Atlanta, they would have the Hawks, and I watch them. So that's it. That's why I did it. Did it. Did it. I've been to Guaranteed Rate or whatever it's called park. It's pretty nice. Oh yeah, the White Sox park. Guaranteed Rate Field. That's right. Some people complained about it. At first, when it first opened, they bragged about it. It's great. It's state of the art. It's like Yankee Stadium. It's tried to copy Yankee Stadium. And then after all these brick parks came out, all the brickwork and the funny angles, they were like, ooh, Comiskey Park is no good. The upper deck's too high. It's too steep. There's no brickwork. So, excuse me, the White Sox updated the park with brickwork and it cut off the top, I don't know, 10 rows of the upper deck to make it smaller. It was a huge stadium. But it was funny because they said all the 1970s ballparks were cookie cutter. They were all the same. So then in the 1990s, they built all these modern parks with brickwork and funny angles that were all the same. They were all cookie cutter. Like you went to any of them, they were the same. Like, oh, look at the red bricks. Look at the funny angles. Oh, it's in a quaint part of the city with a bunch of shops and restaurants across the street. I was like, okay, they're all the same. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. All right, anyway, somebody's calling me. I got to call her back. I could talk about these baseball stadiums and baseball teams for 10 hours. So let me get off this. Rolling Rock's very nice. Nice. Going to the Major League Baseball parks is great. It's a great hobby. I've accomplished it, so I don't really go that much anymore. But they're all nice. People ask me, what's the worst Major League ballpark? And I tell them, well, you have to keep in mind that the worst Major League ballpark is still an A. All right. So I said, we're talking about different levels of terrificness. You see what I'm saying? So that has to be kept in mind. I mean, I've been to, like I said, 39 parks, 9 of which are no longer being used. Might be 40, but 9 of which are no longer used or demolished. And none of them were bad. I don't care what people say. You read these reviews, they'll say, it's terrible. I'm like, it's not terrible, okay? It might have some flaws. It's not terrible. It's just different. Different doesn't make it terrible. The Miami Marlins ballpark, where they played at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, it used to be Joe Robbie Stadium. It was not terrible. It was just different. It was different. It was unusual. All right, I have to go and see batting practice, hopefully. Okay, have a good time. I hope you love the game. and the experience. I'm out of here. Let me call the lady back. All right, thanks everybody, and maybe I'll be back live on video next week. Let's hope. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching. Let's try it again. Thanks for listening.